You know, 99% of webcams just aren't good because of this one problem, and it's their microphone, rather the audio that they capture. You see, webcam manufacturers don't really conspire to build in bad microphones. The main problem is the distance between your mouth and the microphone. In fact, just to prove this point, what I'm going to do is actually switch the microphone now on my Sony ZV-E10 and $800 camera. And I'm going to use the built-in microphone on that camera just to prove that it's different sounding than what you're hearing in my Shure MV7. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now you should be hearing the Sony's built-in microphone, and you probably heard a massive difference in terms of its acoustic quality, room echo, all of those kind of things. So let me go ahead and just switch back to the Shure MV7 just to fix that bit of pain. There we go. Now I'm in a much more acceptable microphone. Probably not the best microphone there is out there, but a decent and acceptable microphone here for that. A lot of webcams, though, try to solve for this. Some webcams, in fact, you think of things like the Zoom Q2N or the Samsung Go Mic Video or the Movo web mic. That webcams start out as microphones, and then they actually pack in a webcam into those microphones. But those still don't really solve the problem, because either you need to be right up on top of it and kind of eat the microphone, the camera in that case, because there's a camera right on top of the microphone, and that doesn't really work. There is, however, a much more ingenious solution for this with a built-in microphone that actually brings the microphone closer to your mouth without you having to buy a separate microphone, and that's the eMeet StreamCam 1. And not only does it actually solve this problem, but it's also wireless. The camera itself is wireless. So I'm going to put it through its paces. I'm going to show you what the camera can do with wireless streaming and show you how to set everything up. So let's go. Alright, so let's take a look at the eMeet StreamCam 1, just in a kind of studio setup, just to see what it looks like and to hear what it sounds like. Okay, so now you can tell I'm on a webcam by the image that it's producing, but if you listen for the audio, because now I've detached its microphone effectively and I've got it sitting right here, it's close enough to my mouth to where proximity is no longer an issue. It doesn't have to auto gain turn itself up to try to catch everything, and therefore you would hear things like breathing, other noise, room noise, all of that stuff, and you can hear just from the richness of the bass tones and kind of the sound signature, how much different it sounds versus a microphone that is a distance away from you. Alright, so this is the eMeet Stream 1 camera. The microphone is actually perched on top of the camera, just so you can see and hear what it looks like by default. I'm actually going to say I'm pretty impressed, because I've got all this blue background. Normally that changes my skin tone to a very yellow color, but it's actually looking really good, because I think the camera does default kind of to a center point in terms of doing the exposure and white balance. So the image looks surprisingly good out of the box despite my RGB lights. So that's a plus for the eMeet. The cool thing with this microphone is if you have it turned on, it defaults to this microphone. If you use it, for example, if you got a 3.5mm microphone plugged into the back of the camera, it will default to that. And if you turn this microphone off, because obviously it's got a battery in it because it's wireless, it will default to a microphone that's inside of the camera. But just so you can hear the difference with this attached, it is a pretty mega difference in terms of the sound signature. You can tell it's got a lot more of that rich bass kind of podcasty tone to it because of the proximity of the microphone. Again, probably the most kind of innovative feature of this eMeet Stream 1 camera. So now what I want to do is torture test the microphone and try it both with the kind of onboard mic. There are two mics. There's an onboard mic in the cylinder of the camera body itself, and with the wireless mic to see how those two compare in a really bad environment. Okay, so I'm stealing an idea from Bandura on Podcastage just to try these microphones out and these cameras out. I am in the most echoey environment that you can possibly imagine, a bathroom completely untreated, as you can see. So now you can probably hear the room echo. I'm on the default microphone at the base of the camera just to see what that, or to hear what that sounds like, because that is actually the real test. And because I have two different cameras, I can actually switch between different angles. And now I'm on camera 2, so now you can hear what it sounds like again with the echoey microphones. Now, the one thing I want to do at the moment is then turn on the wireless microphones to see if that actually cancels out some of the room echo. It's still going to be pretty bad, I think, but with my proximity close to my mouth effectively, it should cancel out a lot of that bad echoey sound. All right, so now I'm back just to hear the audio if it changes versus the echoey noise from the previous test. Again, torture testing the eMeets microphone and also showing how it can switch between different camera angles. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the other camera. And now I'm on the camera 2, the second camera basically that I've got hooked up, just to see what that looks like. And I'm on, again, a different microphone here in this case. I've got both microphones. It's kind of a test of the microphones as well, because theoretically I've got two different microphones that could potentially cancel each other out because they're right next to each other here, as you can see on my shirt. So we're going to actually go through some of the things that you need to know with the specs of the StreamCam 1. So first, because it's wireless, there are quite a few different apps that you can use to control it. You can use a Windows app, an iOS app, or an Android app. But I found that the Windows app had a few more features than the other two, like materials or overlays that you can control and add as part of your live stream. Now you can use the eMeet Stream app like you would use, for example, OBS to move between cameras, and it will connect directly to several different global streaming services over RTMP. You can also allow it to send a RIST signal, RIST signal, over your wireless network or the Ethernet. And if you're using Windows, the method that I found easiest actually was to use the eMeet Stream app and its built-in virtual camera. Then just while I'm in here in OBS, let's quickly look at some of the properties. You'll see the maximum resolution for this camera is 1080p and the maximum frame rate is 30 frames per second. Now the phone app is pretty good. It actually does have those image presets and the Pro mode built in. Now let's move on to the specs. It's using a 1/2.8-inch Sony Starvis sensor, which is fairly common. It's a little bit on the smallish side these days for a premium camera, but I feel like in this case with this camera, it's kind of punching above its weight in terms of that sensor size. And I think what's helping it especially is the center frame and spot metering modes that really help it in terms of the white balance and auto exposure. And also it makes it so it doesn't struggle with like the RGB lighting I have behind me. That bluish hue will turn the entire image of my skin tones very yellow, kind of like a Simpsons character. This one doesn't do that. So not only that, but it also has really good optics for that smaller sensor size of 1/2.8 inch. Now the field of view is super wide. Speaking of optics, it's over 90 degrees. It claims to be 90 degrees, but I think it's a bit wider than that. Nonetheless, it's a very wide field of view. And for battery life, eMeet claims 8 hours, which is consistent with what I've been testing it at. For Wi-Fi, it also works over both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz networks, as well as you can use Ethernet over a USB adapter with the camera as well. Now, when you connect to the camera over its USB-C port directly to your PC or Mac, the nice thing with this camera is it automatically is visible as a normal UVC camera. So it just uses the inbox drivers for the operating system that you're running, whether that's Windows or Mac. And you don't need to switch the different modes between, say, UVC and wireless, like you do with the last camera I tested from OBSBOT, the Tail Air. This just does that automatically for you. All right, so now let's actually go into what you get in the box. So the box itself's pretty normal, average looking box, but it contains this nice durable carry pouch that has a little bit of protection for your camera, and it also has a nice pouch for accessories up top. Inside of it, you'll also get in the box some documentation. One of the more handy features is actually the sticker pack, and normally I would say that stickers aren't always an amazing thing, but you'll see that there are numbered stickers in case you have more than one camera. Then you can actually match the microphone and camera to one another with those different stickers. So of course you get the camera itself, and just to look at the camera, it is a nice kind of cylindrical design. There are a few lights for status on the front. On the back of it, it has a micro SD card, a USB-C slot. There's also a TRS audio jack on the back of it, 3.5 millimeter, and a power button. And you'll see that I've got this sticker here, the 2 sticker, because this is my second camera, but it also has its matching microphone. Now the microphone normally rests on top and it applies magnetically. Just to show what that looks like, you apply it magnetically on the top like that, and there's also a nice wind filter that you can apply that's also magnetically applied. So once you've applied both of those, you can see I've got the matching 2 and 2 here, so I can match between, if I've got multiple different cameras, to match the microphone with the camera. So those are those two pieces. Beyond that, you get
a USB-C cable.
But I got a lot of eMeet ads in my YouTube feeds recently. And USB-C to USB-C, and also it's got a USB-C to USB-A converter adapter on the end for that. What it doesn't have, however, is a means to attach it to your monitor, like a monitor mount. Now you can use something like this universal quarter 20 mount. There is quarter 20 at the base of the camera. This is a mount that I got from Makose on Amazon. It's about $10. I'll put links in the description. But it's a very good kit in terms of having everything you need and protecting it while it's in transport. Okay, so that's the eMeet StreamCam 1, a completely wireless camera that can stream directly to your favorite services like YouTube or Twitch. And it's probably got my favorite microphone solution of any webcam that I've tested, in that it can detach and it's wireless, so you can move around the room away from the camera and still capture amazing audio from it. So I'd encourage you to check it out. I'd recommend it if you're looking for something like this. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching.